Cheers tonight at the Lydell Education Center as West Fargo voters overwhelmingly approve a bond issue that will shape the district for years to come. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Back in 2011, West Fargo voters said yes to an $82.5 million bond issue. That passed with 70% approval.
Well, tonight, even more money on the line, $98.1 million, and nearly 80% said yes. Here are the numbers. 4,831 yes votes, that's almost 80%, and more than 1,200 no votes at about 20%. Now, Valley News Team's Krista Boehm was there when the outcome was announced. Krista?
Mike, Steph, everyone at the watch party got a little more excited as numbers trickled in from the 6 polling places. Supporters tell me they were surprised that the outcome looked this good. The district knew it was asking for a lot. After the cheering died down at the Lydell Center, there was a big sigh of relief, knowing that the district will have the ability to accommodate growth. With 2 new elementary schools and in addition to West Fargo High, there will be room for the 500 or more new students expected every year. But what may be more complex than in past years, this referendum will bring an aquatic center and hockey rink to help students and parents.
Hockey players, young and older, high school, and swimmers, that they don't have to practice at 6 a.m. or 10:30 at night, for one thing. It will mean that we can have a swim meet, just a normal-sized high school swim meet without parents going away frustrated or angry because they don't have a place to sit.
In May of 2011, when the last bond issued passed, there was 7,170 students in the West Fargo district. And right now, there are 2,400 more students. And with that number expected to keep growing, the district is not wasting any time. 6 projects are scheduled to begin this coming spring.
A big night for West Fargo. Krista, thank you. Now, for a breakdown of today's vote, which includes the 6 polling places, go to valleynewslive.com and then click on this story.
More than half of the country's governors so far have announced that they will refuse Syrian refugees for resettlement in their states. North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple says the federal program needs to be stopped. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton fired back against governors saying no to the Syrians. The concern comes in the wake of the terrorist attacks in Paris that killed 129 people, injuring 350 more. ISIS, the terror group believed based in Syria, has claimed responsibility. Governor Dayton said today that the governors really have no power or authority to refuse refugees that are expected.
I think it's showmanship on the part of these governors who pretend that they would be able to sanctify their borders so that only certain people can enter their state and other people can't. I want to protect the people of Minnesota every bit as much as any of those governors want to protect the people of their states. But it's to stand up there with swagger and say, well, I'm going to prevent the wrong people from entering my state, to me is just ludicrous.
Meanwhile, U.S. Senator John Hoeven of North Dakota says the U.S. should not be taking Syrian refugees without adequate security checks in place. He says it's a matter of protecting our country.
Well, we should not be taking refugees from Syria because we can't vet them. We don't have a way to adequately vet them, and we can't have terrorists coming into our country. We've got to protect our country. But at the same time, we have to join with our allies and with moderate Arab countries that are willing to take the fight to ISIS so that the Syrian people can live in their own country and be safe and not have the scourge of ISIS.
The Obama administration did reach out to governors and members of Congress today, defending the screening process as rigorous, adding that the refugee program cannot continue without support from Congress.
A united voice is speaking for those struggling with mental health issues in North Dakota. A statewide assessment shows the state's lacking in help for people with behavioral health issues. Whether it's drug abuse, domestic abuse, or depression, those in social and health services, law enforcement, and substance abuse help programs are trying to get on the same page about behavioral health.
A lot of people have been willing to kind of sit on their hands and let somebody else take care of it. Oh, it's Department of Human Services' job to do that, or it's law enforcement's job, or, geez, the treatment providers should be doing that, or insurance should be helping with that. Any one of those entities isn't going to fail. Everybody at the table is the solution. It's all of our jobs.
Well, the meeting today was a group effort to prevent behavioral health issues like training teachers to notice signs of depression or abuse and training law enforcement to notice signs of drug abuse and work with others to get them the help they need.
E-cigarettes are the alternative a lot of smokers choose when they don't want to smoke cigarettes. Until the FDA lays out firm regulations, public health officials remain skeptical, especially after a recent report showing North Dakota high schoolers are turning to e-cigs twice as much as regular cigarettes. Valley News Team's Cornelius Hocker has our story.
The e-cig industry has exploded over the last 6 years or so.
That explosion has left the FDA lagging behind when it comes to regulating the e-cig industry, an industry that sees many smokers coming to them for a way to eventually kick the traditional cigarette habit.
The goal is to eventually weed your way down to a really low dose of nicotine or to nicotine-free.
Darius Enders is the owner of Sports Vape in Fargo. He says despite the lack of regulation, he has customers, even people in the healthcare field, that are saying e-cigarettes are a safer alternative to smoking traditional cigarettes.
One doctor told me that when they ask their patients if they're a smoker or a non-smoker, if they say they use an e-cigarette, they actually check non-smoker.
But Melissa Markegard, a tobacco prevention and control coordinator, says many others in the healthcare field aren't as quick to sign off on this emerging trend, especially with more youth using them.
The Youth Risk Behavior Survey just came out. The results in North Dakota just came out, and 22% of North Dakota high schoolers reported using e-cigarettes.
Which is almost double the amount of high schoolers in North Dakota that said they use cigarettes. Markegard says this is alarming because it means some teenagers have decided, before the FDA has regulated, that e-cigs are safer than traditional cigarettes.
We want parents to be open and honest with their kids, and really it comes down to a drug. Nicotine is a drug, and it's an addictive drug, and we don't want kids to become addicted to this drug.
Cornelius Hawker, Valley News Live.
Enders and Markegard agree keeping e-cigarettes out of the hands of people under the age of 18 is important. Sports Vape actually stopped selling online because there's no way to verify age through an online order.
New government data shows rates of some sexually transmitted diseases are rising at an alarming rate. In 2014, there were 1.4 million reported cases of chlamydia, which is the highest yearly total for any condition ever reported to the CDC. Reported cases of syphilis shot up 15% from 2013 to 2014, and gonorrhea rates increased 5%, mostly among gay and bisexual men. Young people between 15 and 24 accounted for 2/3 of reported cases of chlamydia and gonorrhea. Experts say more efforts are needed to improve screening rates, especially among young women.
It's Tuesday, and that means it's time for our restaurant report card. This week, we make stops at a couple of Fargo eateries.
Valley News Team's Christine Stanwood hears from managers at these restaurants and has our Clean Plate Award winner with a spotless inspection.
Leanne Chin is located inside the food court in West Acres Mall. The restaurant was cited for a dirty ice machine and fan inside the grill. It received a critical violation for storing raw cut meat in the mop sink.
We just follow everything, and then we have a sink need to change the seals. The next day I already changed. That's it.
Passage to India is off of 45th Street South. It was cited for not date marking its food and for having dirty vent covers. Their manager tells me that they are also working with their landlord to fix certain parts of the restaurant.
So part of the thing that we are doing in the kitchen is to redo everything, and we are negotiating with the landlord to fix the ceiling. They are really slow.
In Fargo, Christine Stanwood, Valley News Live.
This week's Clean Plate Award goes to Blackbird Woodfire Grill in downtown Fargo on Broadway for having a spotless inspection. You can see this report and others on our website. Go to valleynewslive.com.